Hello everyone, and the channel is with you in search of the best, and today I will tell you about Lord of the Rings, 10 facts about the Rings of Power only book fans know. Listen carefully and don't get distracted. Subscribe to the channel. I looked at the statistics and 75% of people are watching without a subscription. It's not difficult for you to subscribe to this channel, but I will be glad. Click on the like button if you want to continue. Fact 1. Sauron tricks the elves in the form of an Aedur. Sauron's role as Morgoth's devoted lieutenant during the First Age is not forgotten by the elves, which is why he initially tries to obtain allegiance from men. However, he soon realizes that the only real way to create and hold on to power would be to ally with the elves, even temporarily. Sauron, therefore, manifests a fictional entity known as an Aedur in the Second Age, managing to eke out a welcome from most elven lands. While Galadriel, Gil-galad, and Elrond have their suspicions about his real identity, they are unable to prove it. Fact 2. There are several weaker rings in addition to the 20 Great Rings. Including the One Ring, there are 20 Great Rings of Power in total. However, rumors exist of so-called lesser rings being crafted, although neither their number nor their natures are known. Historical record shows that these rings did not bear gemstones or decorative motifs, suggesting that they were basically a means to practice a newly learned craft without wasting time and resources developing a failed great ring. Fact 3. All but the One Ring are produced in Eregion. Eregion, ruled by Celebrimbor, is a peaceful Noldor realm before the appearance of an Aedur, as evidenced by their friendly relationship between the elves and the dwarves of Hazad-dûm. Unfortunately, Sauron's true motives remain hidden to the inhabitants of Eregion. Being the Gwaith-i-Myrdain, they are more than happy to assist him in forging the Rings of Power. It is claimed that their smithing skills surpass almost anything made by the elves, which is probably why Sauron befriends them in the first place. As such, Celebrimbor oversees the creation of all but the One Ring, which is manufactured in Mordor. Fact 4. The Elven rings are untainted by Sauron's will, to an extent. Celebrimbor forges the Elven rings without Sauron's knowledge or influence, although it must be noted that they still technically fall within the ambit of the One Ring. The three rings are not capable of granting invisibility, but their innate healing powers allow wielders to regenerate and safeguard their dominions. In fact, it is stated that Nina and Vilya are partly responsible for the peace in Rivendell and Lothlorien, while Narya encourages and inspires those oppressed by Sauron. Fact 5. Sauron wages war on the elves for total control of the rings. When Sauron wears the One Ring, it instantly reveals his darkness to the elves, unraveling his carefully constructed schemes for domination. He concludes that brute force is the only option left to him, triggering what is known as the War of the Elves and Sauron. Elrond and Gil-galad bring their respective armies to protect Eregion from the legions of orcs swarming out of Mordor, but the Elven kingdom is inevitably destroyed. Sauron tortures Celebrimbor, forcing him to surrender the 9 and 7 rings, but thankfully fails to learn anything about the 3.